welcome back to the Everything Goes Podcast with your host, TAK. A weekly podcast with the latest sports news, the hottest of the hot takes, and the best predictions you can get. Now, Chris, Ace, take it away.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Everything Goes Podcast with TAK. This week on episode 183, Ace is back in the building. 100 days until football. Lots to discuss. Hopkins on probably the top free agent list right now. Probably number one with him signing to a new agent today. And teams having a little bit of interest right now as it's a little slow. I don't know if y'all saw it. I don't know if y'all saw it, but the video of Buccaneers Baker Mayfield and Trask competing for QB looked really embarrassing today. There's a video out there of them missing throws left and right and not hitting the guys in the numbers. It doesn't look too good. Fault. Doesn't look too good right now. Florida's the place to be right now for sports with the Heat and the Panthers both in the finals. MLB, which teams are surprising so far? And is Tom Brady really going to stay retired this year? I think he will, but
yes, I agree.
Little side thing to go into our introduction here, just a little thing to talk about real quick. Did you guys see that they released that the Denver Nuggets mascot, his name is Rocky? Just take a guess about how much you think he makes a year if you didn't see it already.
Well, the fact that they had a harness, they had a harness fail a couple of years ago where he fell from the ceiling. I'm sure he's making a lot of money.
Oh, 200 something then.
$625,000
to be
as a mascot. He's the top highest paid mascot.
Dang.
So that's all over. That's all
life.
That's all over Bleacher Report right now, right? And if that's real, you have got to be mad if you're a player and you're not making that.
There's not too many players in the NBA that aren't making that anymore. I think what's the minimum for rookies? $1 million?
Yeah, what is maybe rookies, I guess. Yeah.
That's probably part of his lawsuit because I don't know if it's the same guy or not, but they had a harness fail. You can look up the video on YouTube where he came flying down from the ceiling.
Oh my God, that's scary.
Yo, I watched that video today. You sent me with the seal and the orcas. Had me laughing, man. She's like, I don't know what to do. He goes, I do. Start your boat.
That's the best videos on TikTok right now. Animal voiceovers, man, I can watch them all day long. They crack me up. That is the best.
She goes, I don't know what to do. He goes, I do. Start the boat.
The voices are the best.
The voices are the best. Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, though, like if I'm playing in a different sport and I'm like, yo, I'm making $100K a year, and this guy is making $600K a year. Like, could you imagine that?
Dude, $600K.
What about AAA players? They're literally that next level. They could have been some of the best MLB prospects, and they're getting bussed into these small towns, basically.
Dude, that's the best job in the world. You can mess with people and you don't gotta talk.
Yeah,
I feel like I
wonder what the Philly Fanatic. I wonder what the Fanatic makes. The Philly Fanatic, and I hate the Phillies. He's the best mascot. I can watch YouTube videos of him all the time. He's hilarious.
He still have like the hula hoop. It looks like.
Yeah,
it does everything.
That's awesome.
And that's probably what it is too. I feel like the more iconic you become, the more you get paid. Like there's some that like we don't like. I couldn't tell you certain teams' mascots. Like you just don't know. But there's mascots that come right to your mind when you talk about them. You know, we just said it. The Philly Fanatic, the Rocky for the Nuggets. Another one that comes to my mind would be.
Well, you remember the Vikings a couple years or even last year the guy was pushing to get more money.
Was he?
Unaffiliated Viking. God, I'm completely blanking on what their name is now. But yeah, he tried to ask for more money, and they're like, "You're not affiliated with us technically. Yeah, you sit in the stands and have season tickets, but."
Wow. I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying. Like, okay, gotcha. Well, guys, how's your week going? It's a little bit of a later week because we all had a Memorial weekend. It's a Tuesday, not a Monday. Feels like it's a Wednesday. My week feels so out of whack right now.
Tomorrow's hump day already. It's great. It's a great week.
I know.
I like that. I got a little color here, guys, and I promise I wore some.
You know, you look a little. You got some red. You got some red.
I'm not embarrassed permanently. It's just, I got a little color. These guys, I don't know. You guys have much better skin than apparently I do because I burn easily.
I'm in it all the time now.
I go through the phases. I go from white to red to tan. You know, and by the time winter gets here again, I'll be white again.
Yeah, but you're weird. Where like your tan turns into freckles. So like you don't. It turns nice.
Your tan don't turn into freckles. You already have freckles.
You get more freckles though, as the sun hits you.
It's probably skin poison.
I see what he's saying. Oh God, don't say that.
Man, where to begin, guys? Where do you want to take? You want to start in NBA? Or you want to start in NFL, MLB?
Might as well go to NBA. I mean,
I would say, what's your reaction, guys? I mean, Boston pushes Game 7 against Miami. Miami gets to the playoffs. You know, Jimmy Buckets disappears in the last couple of games. Everyone thinks Boston is going to have this historic comeback from 3-0. Miami ends up beating them. You know, now we go and we have a Miami and Denver final, and I like the matchup. I like the two teams that are in it. I'm happy the Lakers didn't win. I'll be honest. I'll say it.
Yeah,
I wanted to see Boston win. I wanted to see a team for the first time.
I did too.
From 3-0. I mean, it was 150-0 was the record. I wanted to see somebody beat that, and it sucks that Tatum got hurt 23 seconds into the game, twisted his ankle, and then
that blew
most of the game. Most of the game was dry. I mean, there was a lot of missed shots on both sides, and I think it doesn't matter who gets to the finals. I think this is over in 4 games, and not even giving him a gentleman's sweep. I think this even Vegas is saying Denver is minus 486 right now, which means you got to put almost $500 down to win $100. So
wow,
I think Denver is this is Denver's team. This is their year to win it. I've been saying it for a while that
and the
rest Sixers and then blew it. I think they're the team that has the best chance to win it.
Do you think this gives the Nuggets an advantage of sitting out this long, or if you're a fan, does it kind of scare you that they haven't played live action in like almost a week?
They are playing live action. Let's get it straight. They're scrimmaging. They're doing things in practice. I think that layoff stuff is an excuse if you come out and lose the first game.
Yeah.
I
would agree with that too.
Who you guys taking here? Because I have Nuggets right here written down for me. Nuggets in 5. I think Miami wins at least one. I think they win at least one.
I think this is going to be the boringest championship ever.
Well, what are vibes? I know you're not technically both in the cities there, but is there?
We're both in the States. Miami's hyped right now, man. There's a lot of Heat fans, especially where I'm living, over here in West Palm, and they were talking a lot of smoke, man, when Boston was down 3-0, and then it got real quiet. But
Mike Schler and Mike Evans on the Denver radio show this morning were already trying to find out when the parade's going to be. So Denver's kind of confident, man. And let's put it like this. Miami hasn't, I told you guys before we came on, Miami hasn't won in Denver since 2016. And they're 5-5 at home this year in the playoffs. So it's not looking good for Denver. And who's going to stop Joker?
Yeah, and I like Ty's take. I was thinking in my head, okay, maybe the Heat can get one, so it goes 5 games. And they're out Hero. They
Hero might come back Game 3, and I think that's the best case scenario for the Heat. That they can go 1-1 early and get Hero back. Yeah, I don't think the Heat are just going to be a rollover game. I mean, I think that especially if Jimmy Buckets over there can turn it back up. I mean, Miami has players that can score. I mean, if they can hold Jokic and play some good Heat basketball like they were.
They played a Boston team that was real small. They didn't have any big players. Their biggest player that they have playing right now is Bam Adebayo. He's 6'9". Who's guarding the Joker? Who's guarding Aaron Gordon? Who's guarding Mort Murray? Who's guarding all these guys that are hot
dude,
right now?
Denver looks scary on paper right now.
You want a hot take? You want a hot take?
Go ahead.
Denver wins every game by 10 points or more.
Jeez.
I mean, they
write that one down. East.
The Timberwolves have size with Gobert and Towns when they're both out on the floor, and even they could match up with them. I think they had like Aaron Gordon guarding Towns at one time, and then they, flopped with Jokic and Gobert, who would ever cover. So yeah, to Chris's point, they got some big bodies out there.
Yeah, and like you said, Dad, I mean, look at that roster. That roster is deadly. I mean, Murray was so hot in the semifinals. I mean, if he carries that over into the finals, Jokic, I mean, 2-time MVP in the past 2 out of 3 years. You have Eric Gordon. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of talent on that team. The matchup doesn't look good for Miami. It doesn't.
Correct, yeah.
And not to mention, Miami just came off an exhausting 7-game series.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I asked you, because, Denver got the rest, and I just think they come out slamming, especially if they go up 2-0, first 2 games at home, dude, like, it's over.
I just honestly think that even if the Sixers made it, even if Milwaukee made it, I just think Denver, this is their year, man. They just have all the weapons in place. Their bench is solid. They just have it's rolling. They're rolling. And this is what happens when you get good teams rolling at the right time. Happens in all sports.
I agree.
So this might be, I'll shoot out my bold prediction then, Chris, since you said yours. This will be the least watched NBA Finals.
I agree.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Why
Why are you guys shooting so low on the? Why are we shooting so low on the views? I mean, these are two teams that aren't typically in the finals.
Well, it's Denver's first one ever, but I just think if you look at it realistically, Miami's not impressive. Because they're a solid team. They beat two of the best teams. They beat Milwaukee without Giannis, first of all. So I just think they're too small, and they're going to have to live and die with the three. And I just think there's going to come a time where you're going to have better, bigger defenders on you now, and it's going to be a different game.
Kyle Lowry's playing again,
I
right?
can see that.
Yeah, but he was like 35. It looks like he's about 35 inches wide, He's pretty big, He is. But I honestly
5 inches, that's like my waistline. Well,
look, I just
there's a lot of beef between this team too. If you think about it in the past 3 years.
I don't mean 35 inches around, Ace. I mean 35 inches this way. No, I look, seriously, it's going to be a good series, but I just think Denver wants this so bad. Joker got screwed out of the MVP, and let's face it, now they're just going to go for the goal and get the championship. And I just think they're ready. They're solid. Their team's healthy. They came off a sweep, which some people said it was the greatest sweep ever for the Lakers, which is, how do you give a team credit got swept? I mean, it's just like that. It makes no sense. But I think it's over in 4. It's going to be a quick series.
I think it's over in 5. I think Denver's taking this.
Yeah. I will, because Chris threw out, I just did, but I will actually watch this one because it would be nice to, I liked watching the Nuggets, even though they destroy the Timberwolves. They actually play a fun, both teams play a fun, brand of basketball. At least defensively, they both get after it.
You got to think the Denver crowd's going to be very loud and packed because, like you said, it's the first time they're there.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be that'll be a crazy atmosphere. Come to think of it.
Yeah, it will.
Yep.
It will.
The sack's going to be rolling. Ball Arena, it's going to be rolling. It's going to be freaking packed. But Boston set a record. They're the first city ever to have both their teams lose Game 7s at home. Them, Celtics and the Bruins.
Bruins, baby.
Yeah. Well.
Some,
and look,
NHL Florida Panther.
Yes, sir.
Oh no, sorry. Go ahead if you have more, Chris.
No, I'm good. I that's a perfect segue.
Well, yeah. So, let's talk about them Florida Panthers because they're going to the finals for the first time since 1996 or something like that. But the Dallas game and the Knights game, I don't know if you guys watched that game. That was interesting because the Golden Knights were up 3-0, just blowing out the team. I remember I turned on the TV. It was like game 3. And I thought to myself, could you imagine buying a ticket for a Dallas game and you get there, turn the TV on, it's only 3 minutes into the game, and it's 3-0 already. That's big in hockey. Could you imagine spending that? And you could hear a pin drop in that stadium while they were playing. There was no crowd. But Dallas came back. They were down in the series 3-2, and then the Golden Knights won it. It was, again, I turned it on yesterday. It was 3-0, a minute into the game. I don't understand how it happens like that. Golden Knights are a good team.
Dude, their forechecking's amazing, man. I mean, their first shot was a goal.
I'm really excited, man.
Wow.
Just thinking about it right now, I got butterflies then. I have a lot of excitement because I look like the biggest bandwagon right now. I really do.
Hey, a good time to jump on.
I think I just think it's so funny that I took a risk on a team 2 weeks before the season ended, and they had if the Penguins would have won that one game, they never would have been made it. And I was cool with it. I was like, all right, cool. I have a new team to root for. They get in the playoffs. They're not going to beat the number 1 seed. They beat the number 1 seed in game 7. They beat the Maple Leafs. Then they beat the number 2 seed, the Hurricanes. And now they're in the finals. I'm like, what the heck? I've been to two of the games. I went to game 3 against the Hurricanes, and the atmosphere was just insane. I saw some crazy stat that they can hold 19,300 people, and there were 19,800 people there somehow. Just standing up and stuff. The atmosphere was just insane.
Food? Did you try food at all?
I got some chicken nuggets.
Okay. Yeah.
It's pretty good. It was pretty good. But man, I'm really excited. There is nothing like hockey playoffs, and I'm excited. I think Florida can win it. In my personal opinion, with the things they've overcome already this far, I think that this is a good series for the fans between the Golden Knights, is still relatively a new team in this league,
Yeah,
and you the Florida Panthers, who in the past 2 years haven't really even had a fan base because they've been so bad. I mean, it's an amazing finals, and I'm excited. And I think the Florida Panthers can win it all. And I don't really have a prediction yet because I think both teams are good, but I'm hoping the Florida Panthers can pull it out.
yeah. These teams play well together from all lines, and even watching a little bit of both, kind of just as a fan, alongside my brother-in-law and his dad, who really enjoyed. It's like these teams, they're aggressive. They're very aggressive, and like you said, Chris, too, the cross-checking. Or forecheck, which I don't even know what the heck.
Yeah.
What is forechecking?
They're better at preventing people from getting into the zones. They
are. That's a stat they were talking about last night. And everyone talks about the Panthers in the offseason trading for Tkachuk. And obviously I didn't become a fan until like the end of the season. Watching the playoffs, I don't think the Florida Panthers would be where they are right now if they didn't trade for Tkachuk. His presence he brings to
he's amazing.
The game. I mean, when he scored 4 seconds, it's weird when you listen to hockey and they talk about players because there's so many Canadian and Russian players. They go like, "Oh, Tkachuk's like one of the best American players in the league right now, like hands down." Like he is just so good the way he gets in the zone and is able to position the puck to other players. That Game 7, Dad, scoring with 4 seconds left. I mean, at home.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? Could you imagine being at that game,
He's
man?
Clutch.
That's so good.
The thing is Florida is really good at 5-on-5, keeping the puck in the other people's zone. They move the puck. They move the puck amazingly. You know, they don't dump and chase. They bring the puck up with their best players, and they just work it in.
But they're good at dumping and getting though. Like like when we watched the Flyers when I was younger, they would dump it in there and never get it. But they would never get it. Florida's good at. They get in there and and I love Goez. Goez is that guy that he's on the ice to hit people.
He's a flyer.
And some people think he's a dirty player, but in playoffs, man, like he goes out there and he just drills people and he keeps the puck in the zone at the same time. It's a great two-way player.
I'm sorry. Someone with a beard that big and missing teeth, I just won't even go near him.
Absolutely.
My only downside to the playoffs, and I've talked about it a couple of times, is like the refs just do not let fights happen. I get it. You want to, it's playoffs. You don't want your players to get injured.
The 5-minute major, though, man.
Dude, yeah. And last thing I'll say is, this is why playoff hockey is awesome too. Is Game 4 that the Panthers wanted to go to the finals. 1 minute into the game, I watched. I don't know. It wasn't Goez. I think it was Reinhart. He decked somebody so hard behind the goalie's net, dude. That guy, he went to stand up and then just face planted, and it took him out of the game, dude. It was a clean hit and everything. It's just the way he landed. He hit his head a certain way. That's playoff hockey for you, man.
Yeah, but you guys got great players. You got Verhaeghe, you got Reinhart, and you got Tkachuk.
Cousins and Tkachuk and Stahl are really good out there. But Bobrovsky has been the main reason. I mean, he had 64 consecutive saves at one point, and I mean, he was a shutout to win to go to the finals. I mean, he's been lights out. Such a great player, and they couldn't do without him. But I'm excited to get to 100 days till football, though, and I think the biggest news on the block right now is Hopkins.
Wait. I'm going to say Florida in 6. Florida in 6. Write it down.
You know what? For Ty also, Florida in 7. Florida in 7.
Florida in 6 and 7.
And the Stanley Cup is going to have more
5. I'm going to take them in 5.
More viewers than the NBA.
I agree. I agree. I'm going to try and get to podcast. Yeah. Hopkins on the trade, not on the trade block. Hopkins was released. They couldn't find a trade for him. There was speculation that they would even keep him. He was on a podcast. He listed some quarterbacks that he would play for. He listed some he's essentially chasing a ring. Nothing wrong with that. That's what a lot of players are doing now. He's a great receiver. He's getting up there. I wrote it down. I think he's like 30. He's only 30 years old. He's only 30. Some things that he listed off is he wants to play for a quarterback that loves this game and is looking to win. He wants to play for a team that has a good defense and an organization that is consistent and wants to win, and not just some organization that wants to constantly continue to rebuild. Now, in my opinion, the Saints check off a lot of those boxes, but I do not think that they will get him, nor do I think they necessarily need him with the wide receiver room they have. But I do have some of the teams listed down here that who do you guys, number one, before I even list the teams that they're saying are rumored to get Hopkins, if you're Hopkins right now, like if you were in his shoes, what's one team you're looking at right off the bat?
Kansas City, Buffalo.
I said one, not two.
Just saying.
Like,
but look, before you answer, Ace, I just want to say one thing. The whole problem about this whole thing with Hopkins is you're 31 years old. You just got a new agent.
He's 30.
How much money? He's going to be 31 before the season starts.
Oh, yeah.
How much money do you want? Because if you're looking for like 15, 18, 20, I don't think it happens. I really don't.
Isn't he owed like something ridiculous? I think it's 28, 30, maybe. Whatever the case.
He's lost a step. He's got great hands, but he lost a step.
I mean, but he had a good year in Arizona, and then he got suspended for like half the season the next year. So like that kind of sucks for him. But like I mean, I don't necessarily think he's taken a step down. I mean, that first year with Kyler Murray, he thrived in that offense.
It's gonna come down to money.
Give him 14. Give him 14.
I'd give him 14. I'd give him 14. Yo, you imagine him and JJ?
They get rid of Cook, so they get rid of Cook, sadly, because that's where the 14 comes from.
I'll give him a 1-year deal, 12 years, 12 million with incentives.
I like that. So if I'm Hopkins, right? Like there's two teamers right off the bat that come to my mind. Eagles and Chiefs. He goes to the Eagles. They have a good defense, and they have the best wide receiver room in the league, and they have a good quarterback that's already locked in. You go to Kansas City, you're automatically the best receiver on that team because who they have, Juju and Hartman, or you know what I mean? Like that's the team that's won the Super Bowl. You got Travis Kelce, like him, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes. Like Patrick Mahomes, it's like
Kansas City said that Mahomes already came out and said that they have a really solid receiving staff, so I don't think they're interested.
What about the Chargers? They don't.
Chargers would be a good one. I think he listed Justin Herbert as like a quarterback that he would play for. Now Deshaun Watson is having this campaign to go out there and try and recruit him, and Hopkins I think Hopkins came out and said he's down to rejoin his old quarterback, but the Browns are not interested at this point. Kansas City and the Bills are the two to watch because those are the two that actually tried to talk with him when they tried to make a trade. But they said that it's a very slow movement right now. Teams actually have an interest in him.
This is the problem you're going to have.
Chris? Do you think he has a couple years left, Chris?
Look, if I'm a team like Detroit, I'm all in. Detroit has like 26 million in cap space, but Buffalo, Kansas City, they only have $1 million in cap space. The Dallas Cowboys have about 12. Eagles have about 12. Okay. So, I mean, there you go again. You know, how much money does he want? Because all those teams down there, they can't afford them. They can't afford them.
Would you take him on the Dallas Cowboys?
I don't know.
Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, and Hopkins. Now, let me ask you something. Jerry Jones puts there on the table 2-year, $20 million. He's making they break it down. He's making like $8 million a year or something with incentives.
I wouldn't give him a 2-year deal. I wouldn't give him a 2-year deal because you have to re-sign CeeDee Lamb. You have to re-sign Micah Parsons. You have to re-sign Diggs. You have big name players you got to re-sign. So is it worth going after a 30-year-old who, let's face it, he's not going to be the same Hopkins as he was before? Would I give him $10 million? Yeah, but I would do a 1-year deal. I wouldn't do more than 1 year.
What about a 2-year deal where the second year is a player, an option where they decide whether or not they want to pick it up?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Or honestly, why not just do a 3-year and that last one's basically like that option? So
the last 2 years are an option.
Yeah, the last 2 years could be dead.
I mean, the more years you do, the longer you can spread this out. But the problem is you have Michael Gallup, who just came back from that knee surgery, who should be better this year. You have Tolbert, who you drafted 2 years ago, who should be better this year. You have Turpin, who was one of the fastest players in the NFL and one of the fastest players in the USFL. They could be using him as a weapon.
It's true.
So I don't know. It comes down to this: Dak Prescott's still our quarterback.
Don't you think he's got to be making what Beckham is? Odell?
No, not Beckham's getting 15.
I would think so. I would think so. I think he's better than Beckham, in my opinion.
Yes,
but Beckham's overpaid.
Hey, son's blocking your camera.
Beckham's overpaid.
I think Beckham is overpaid a little bit, but I think Hopkins at least gets the same as him because Hopkins is better and it wasn't injured. I think you take the Ravens off the board completely though because they have the Ravens on this list, and if I'm Hopkins. I mean, number one, is the Ravens' defense even good? Number two, if you go to a team like Lamar, who already has Odell Beckham and a 4 first-round wide receiver, who's saying you're getting the ball? Like, you might only get the ball 40 times.
Lamar, the best running back in the league. I mean, come on.
I mean, if here's my options. If I'm Hopkins, I think I'm eliminating the Bills because of how cold and so much snow gets there. I'm taking Kansas City or the Eagles. That's my and as much as you hate the Eagles, Dad. Like if I was Hopkins, Jalen Hurts.
Can the Eagles afford him?
I think with the way they've been managing their offseason, they could probably make something happen.
But my thing is why would you want to bring in another guy when you have young talent? You just brought in AJ Brown the year before
because you lost your running back. You don't know what the running back room is going to look like right now. And then so you have if you get Hopkins, you have the best trio in the league with him, AJ Brown, and help me out here. I can't think of his name. Devontae Smith. Like who is beating that?
Look, I'll tell you right now.
You put Devontae Smith in the slot, and that team has the best offense in the league.
Look, if I'm the Panthers, if I'm the Bears, if I'm the Lions, if I'm the
He's not going to go to them. He's not going to go to them.
Money talks. You tell me they don't. You tell me Detroit, who plays in a
but
dome,
he's gotten paid. He's looking for a ring.
You think Detroit's not going to win that division this year?
Yeah, but who's? Dude, I don't know.
We could get it.
One of the worst defenses last year. You know what I mean? He's looking for a team to go win a ring. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, well, you know what the thing is you're not guaranteed a ring.
You're not. But you can bolster your options if you pick the Chiefs or the Bills.
You know, you can go to Buffalo and you can end up. You can go to Buffalo and then end up having your quarterback forget that he has receivers and becomes a running back and then loses the game for them. You know, or you can go to Kansas City. And you never know. Mahomes might get hurt, and guess what? Your quarterback is now Chad Henne if he's still there.
That's true.
It's he can go to Detroit. Who knows? He can go. If I was Detroit, I'd be on the phone. I'm sorry. I'd be like, "What do you want?" Could you imagine Detroit with that or the receiver on that side like that, with that St. Brown or St. What's that guy they have?
Yeah, Mar St. Brown.
Yeah, come on. That'd be.
And they have their first round pick from last year. Who only played like 4 games because he got drafted while he was injured.
And look what Detroit did. Look what Detroit did offensively last year without really a lot of weapons. Wow.
I just think I'd be careful. Like, how is his presence in a locker room too? Like, if you bring him into a crowded wide receiver room, like, is he gonna spread drama? You know what I mean? You know that kind of like I'm thinking to be
the one and you're not.
Yeah, like I mean, the New Orleans Saints, for instance, like Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and Rashid Shaheed, like those are 3 still young receivers. Like, if you bring a Hopkins in there, like how does he mold with the wide receiver room? Like, I don't know him. I don't know. Haven't heard anything of his past experiences. Like I've never heard drama with him though, so that's a good sign.
If I'm the Jets, I'm calling them.
Aaron Rodgers, good defense, good receivers. I mean, you could add a receiver like that to a wide receiver with who was the rookie of the year last year? I can't think of his name. Dang, their number 1 receiver, and then you got Lazard, and then you got Wilson. You add a Hopkins. That's. I have other right here. That's the other I would write down right now. Jets. Aaron Rodgers, who is obviously going to be back after that calf thing. They said only a couple of days he'll be fine. You throw a Hopkins in there? But what I was thinking, though, man, is the Browns come out and they're saying, you know what, we'll take him. We'll take Deshaun. So you got Deshaun Watson. You got Hopkins back in there. You still have, oh, man, Dad, who's that guy from Michigan? Peoples-Jones. Still, and then you have Nick Chubb, like that helps. Amari, Mark Cooper's still there too.
Browns that'd
be a really good team.
Lions.
And we talked about
Jets, those 3.
We talked about this last week or the week before, Tyler. This is the Jets' schedule beginning of the season. The Jets open up against the Bills at Buffalo. That's a loss. They play at Dallas. That's a loss. 0-2. They play New England. They play New England. That's 1-2. Then they go to Kansas City week 4. That's 1-4 right there. And then they play Denver. Denver, who was a better team. They could be 1-5. And then after Denver, guess what? They play Philadelphia.
Dude, they could walk out of there and be 3-1 though. They could be 3-1.
But they could be 1-6. They could be 1-6, bench Aaron Rodgers so the Green Bay Packers don't get their first round pick.
How crazy would it be though if they walk out 4-2? They'd be Super Bowl favorites.
I doubt
they'd be Super Bowl favorites. They beat Dallas. They beat the Patriots.
I doubt it.
There's obviously.
I see them.
I see them beat ways, boys.
I see them beating the Patriots. That's it.
Not ruffle the feathers yet.
That's still my hot take that they're going to win the division. There's if he went to Miami too, that'd be interesting. There's some buzz around this offseason so far with the OTA starting up, and I just want to list a couple here, and you guys tell me whether you're buying it or you're selling it. Is it fake or is it true? First one here is that Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook. This is what sucks when we talk about so many sports. Russell Wilson. The rumors with him is that Russell Wilson is looking sharp with his new head coach, Sean Payton.
He's slim.
You guys buying that? Or are you guys selling that?
Go ahead, Ace.
I'm gonna buy because I think Sean Payton's a great coach.
Absolutely.
I don't know how much he has left, but
That's true.
They signed offensive linemen, which they needed. So, and they have a pretty good receiving core overall. So I'm buying that, baby.
I think for right now, I'm gonna sell it. I want to buy it because I like Sean Payton. I like the weapons I like the thing they did, but until I see him in preseason, I mean, it's just OTAs right now. I mean, Derek Carr looks great right now. I'm not saying he's gonna go out there and win MVP.
It doesn't matter. What matters is the circus tents ripped down. Russell Wilson don't have his own personal guy now. He don't have his own personal office. He's not calling his own personal plays. Sean Payton put his foot down. Now they closed practices to the media.
He lost like 20 pounds.
He came in shape. Him and Sean Payton were hanging out at basketball games. Now they're mandatory weight rooms. This whole team is going to click.
I love Sean Payton.
I'm telling you, I said it last year. If Denver gets a running back and an offensive line, they're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to win more than 10 games next year.
Oh man,
I'm telling you,
hot.
I'm telling you,
steaming on this podcast.
They had a solid defense. They had a solid defense last year. They were losing games like 14-10. They weren't giving up a lot of points.
Yeah,
they have a solid defense, and this offense is going to click. I'm telling you, this team is going to win 10 or more games.
The vibes in your two cities right now are very.
There might be another parade. There might be another parade.
Next one here on the agenda is that Davante Adams is happy to be a Raider.
Oh, he has to say that.
No, he's not. He's not saying that. That's just. Do you think
selling? I'm gonna sell that.
I'm selling. Like I get it. You're making 140 million, whatever it is, but I think your buddy Derek Carr getting shipped off. That put a sting in your foot, man. You were hurting after that one.
He's gonna be. He's gonna be good.
Darren Waller shipped off. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But if Tom Brady puts on that silver and black, man, he might be happy again.
Yeah, ask us the same question next week, and who knows?
Jimmy G might be cut without even getting paid.
Jimmy G, the big L.
I think it's a sell.
Tom Brady would click. Tom Brady would click there, man. With Josh McDaniels as the head coach, calling offensive plays, the same offensive coordinator that went to Super Bowls with Tom Brady. Oh man, he would click.
I figured he'd play for at least 5 more years after he got divorced.
He'll be in a wheelchair still playing. By then, they won't be allowed to touch the quarterback.
Oh God, yeah, they'll let him just because he's still playing. They'll let him continue. I thought Adams too was kind of hung out by Rodgers because it's like you have arguably one of the best receivers, but Rodgers was like purposely holding the Packers kind of hostage, not telling, like basically hinting at retirement, even though that wasn't going to happen anyways.
Yeah.
So Adams had to make a choice, and
isn't it weird to see players that have like when you think of the Green Bay Packers, you think of Aaron Rodgers, and he's no longer there. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like, it's crazy that we've gotten to a point that it makes me sad that we're growing up that there's no Drew Brees, there's no Ben Roethlisberger, there's no Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, like there's no Phillip Rivers out there yelling mother trucker, boot scooting boogie barnacles because he never curses. You know, it's sad that it's all coming to an end.
You look at this real quick before you go to the next one. Look at the NFC. No more Russell Wilson. No more Tom Brady. No more Aaron Rodgers. No, it's open. Derek Carr. It's Baker Mayfield. It's all
Jones. Right. You're playing Derek Carr in a bad. You had to throw Baker after Derek Carr.
Come on. That was not.
You could have said Derek Carr, Dak Prescott. Anything. Last one I have here is Darren Waller can help transform the Giants' passing game.
Selling. I don't know why. I think he's a freak athlete, but that's going to be hard. I don't know how good Jones is. There's just a lot of.
Well, it was a contract year last year. He was really good last year. Let's see about this year now.
Did he get a big contract? What happened with that?
Yeah, $40 million a year, 160
mil.
The
Raiders paid him, and then let him go.
I want to buy and sell, but I think I'm going to sell because I think Darren Waller is good. Like you say, he's a freak athlete. He only played 20 games the last 2 seasons, though. He's been dealing with stuff, but I think he brings a better presence to the offense. But I still don't think the Giants have great receivers. I don't.
The Raiders are absolute dorks. 20 games, and you paid the guy after that season where he played like less than half the split.
What they're saying is
I love how they
behind the
traded
scenes
right at his
stuff.
wedding, like right there.
Well, they're saying that's one of the
that
problems.
too.
The head coach wasn't invited to the wedding.
Well, regardless, it's
Somebody's pants got in a bunch.
Jeez,
I think the Giants are better with Waller.
I do too.
Yeah,
He's a great blocking tight end. He's a great receiving tight end. I think
Barkley
he's going to
wants MVP,
really.
though.
Yo, did
Barkley's
anyone
going for
pick
MVP.
up? Did anyone pick up Kenny Galladay?
I mean, the guy that played like what one snap last year because he
the
had a tamper tantrum with the Giants.
But the Giants won. I'm just saying he's still a good receiver. Did anyone pick him up? I would take him over freaking the old man. Over D-Hop.
I want to wait before you let that full sentence come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure before you get blasted by whoever's listening to this.
I don't care. Blast away. It's my opinion. I'll take Kenny Galladay over D-Hop any day.
Dumb.
Wow.
Yeah, you're talking about Hopkins, who's been a top five receiver in the past 5-8 years.
Okay.
When has Galladay, whoever it is, when has he been a top 15 receiver?
So what? He had great seasons with Detroit. He's a great receiver. He hasn't been in a situation where he's a number one. I would take him on Dallas. I would take him on Dallas. You think about Hopkins, who had 5 different quarterbacks with the Texans and still was able to be a top 5 receiver. What was that 5 years ago? He's 30 now. He's gonna be 31 years old. He lost a step. He's got great hands, so he'll be a tight end for me. Go out 5 yards and turn.
You got your own opinion. You got your own opinion. Hey, where do you guys think Zeke lands? Do you think he lands with the Vikings or the Buccaneers? Those are the 2 hot zones that they have him linked, or does Dallas bring him back?
I don't want him back. I like Zeke and all, but he's a fullback now.
Him and Cook would be a good duo, Ace. Him and Cook has a good ring to it.
We won't be able to keep Cook, I don't think.
Cook comes in for first and second, and Zeke comes in at third down. The big power back at the first down.
I would like that, but they're gonna end up. It's
you look good in that purple.
Alexander Madison.
The problem is how much you paying. How much you paying a third down back?
No, I don't know. We might as well let that rookie, the rookie we got this year. I found out. Thanks.
Madison's good. Madison's good.
Yeah, but how much are you gonna pay Zeke? How much is he worth?
I'd give him $5 million.
Yeah. 4 or 5, maybe 6 million. Yeah,
I think $8 million being the max. I'd give him.
I mean, why do you think that Dalvin Cook's on the way out? Let's face it. GMs have put their foot down and said they're not paying running backs anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the running backs that signed. There's not one that made over $10 million this year.
That's true.
Go to like the Rams or something.
Jamal Williams was like a 3-year, $15 million deal. I mean, it is.
Dwayne McBride is the guy you guys got in the 7th round from UAB.
Yes. That guy could likely pull. Maybe I don't know if he can pass block, but
now only if the GMs would put their foot. Ooh, why would he go to the Rams though?
That'd be good.
The Rams are getting rid of everybody though.
I've seen some good footage of Stetson Bennett throwing some dimes over there.
All I gotta say is if he goes to Philadelphia, man, I swear to God,
and he just torches Dallas to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, you could see him getting like 2 rushing touchdowns for like 5 yards, or like they just pounded into him or something.
I wanted him to go to Cincinnati. I mean, he went to Ohio State. He could be a good backup with Mixon.
Yeah, the problem is what's the kind of money he wants? You know what I mean? I'd give him 2-3 million, maybe 4. I wouldn't go higher than that.
Yeah. Well, let's transition to some MLB baseball since that is going on right now, and lots happening in MLB. You have the Mets and Phillies that are getting ready to play right now. The Yankees, though, were playing Seattle last night, which I didn't watch an ounce of that game because, it doesn't start till like 10 o'clock my time. Hate that. Who do you guys think is underperforming the most out of these 2 teams that are playing tonight? The Mets, who are 27-27 and spent so much money this offseason, or the Phillies, who are 25-28. Granted, they did have Harper out in the beginning, and Ed Reese is injured, who is a big hole in their clubhouse and their lineup. But out of those 2 who are facing tonight, with the Atlanta Braves taking off in that division, who do you guys think is underperforming the most?
They're both decimated by injuries. I mean, both of their pitching staffs, their ERAs are like well over 4.
Yeah.
I mean, they spent $88 million, the Mets, on 2 pitchers a year.
I know.
That's insane.
I know.
You kind of got.
Ace, we talked about this the other day, Ace. 2 pitchers on the on the Mets, 88 million. 14 pitchers on the freaking Tampa Bay Rays, like less than that. Well less than that.
Oh yeah,
it was like $5 million. It was something crazy.
And then the
it was something
A's.
crazy.
I mean, the A's.
I saw renderings for the A's team, and they look pretty
beautiful.
nice. Looked really nice. Maybe they can actually get some fans now.
The Mets I just looked are actually 500, so I gotta say Phillies, because I don't know how many injuries they have, but I feel like with the Mets losing some of their starters, or maybe the Phillies injuries are worse than I thought. We knew Harper wasn't going to start the year, so
I think with the Phillies, that's disappointing is like, even though they've had injuries, they still have a huge lineup for their offensive lineup. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's a little. I mean, the Phillies are averaging 4.7 runs per game. Like with that lineup with Schwarber, and you bring in Trey Turner. I know you lose. They lost. It's not Hopkins. We were just talking about Hopkins. Rhys Hoskins. They lost. That was tough in spring training. You know, both teams have lost big injuries. I mean, the Mets lost Diaz, who they just paid by celebrating the World Baseball Classic. That was a huge blow. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they're both dealing with injuries, but I think
it's pitching. Offensively,
it's tough to pick. It's tough to pick because, like you said, the Mets went full out this offseason in pitching, and to see that their pitching just sucks right now, it's tough to watch.
It just goes to show you can't buy a championship anymore.
I know.
I mean, the Phillies batting average is 256. I mean, what's the league average? Probably like 230 something. They're batting 256, and the Mets are batting 247. But pitching wise, I mean, they're both almost at a 5 ERA for starters.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bad. You can only go as far as your pitching. Let's face it.
It's true. It's very true. It's very true. Mullins on the Orioles, who the Orioles are second in the AL with a 34-20 record, who have been killing it this year. That's a team I've been saying we have to be on the lookout. Mullins goes down with a groin strain. He's on the IL. And who gets picked up after clearing the waivers? Aaron Hicks, who has a 209 batting average since 2021 with 13 home runs and 159 strikeouts. I don't think they necessarily picked him up to start. They have some good young talent, but I mean, I don't think it's a bad I don't think it's a bad pickup to have a depth. They don't, because they're not paying him. He cleared waivers and then he went free agent. So they're
the Yankees still owe him $37 million.
Yeah. So I mean, he's chilling. He's chilling.
Wow, that just is astronomical. Some of these numbers for guys.
It's a Band-Aid. Let's face it. Mullins is their best hitter right now. He's really having a great solid year. Mm-hmm. This is just a Band-Aid. I mean, Aaron Hooks isn't the best Band-Aid. There's no stick to that freaking Band-Aid anymore.
Brett Gardner.
Are they still the surprise of the league, the Orioles? I know that the Rays.
Oh, man, I don't know how you can be mad at the Orioles. Like, that's a team, like, I like their colors. They have such a young team that it's cool to see them. They're 34-20 and they're 4 games back from Tampa Bay right now. Ace. The Rays are 39-17. But the Yankees have 33 wins. So only 2 games behind the Orioles.
I gotta tell you, the most surprising teams for me is
I was going to ask you guys, if you had to pick 2 teams, that one from the AL and one from the NL, that have been surprising you this far into the season, who would it be? Because I can give you my AL right now, and I picked this team this offseason to be good, and none of y'all believe me. It's the Texas Rangers, 34-19. 34-19.
Wow.
I don't remember that.
I like that. Let's go with it.
And if I could pick one more NL team, it'd be the Diamondbacks, because they're still hanging up there above 500, which you haven't seen the Diamondbacks be above 500 this far into a season since who knows when.
But you know what's crazy is this new schedule format is amazing.
Love it. I love it. I love it.
I mean,
you play everybody.
I mean, look at the NL East. The team in last place, the Nationals, only 9 games out. The Cardinals in last place, only 5 games out. The Rockies, only 9 games out. You know, I love this format.
I love the Rockies aren't coming back, though.
Division. I'm going to stay in one division. Because honestly, the A's they couldn't beat a minor league team right now. They suck. The A's, it's an embarrassment what's going on there. But the Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates,
yeah,
they kind of flopped for how you would expect. Like, I think the Cardinals will probably be in there in the playoffs, but they're just not, with arguably 2 of the best players at their position, Arenado and Goldschmidt. I would say they're underperforming or surprising than the Pirates on the other end.
I honestly got to give baseball a standing ovation. I'm not going to stand up right now, but I think what they did was amazing. I think this is every team we're in at the end of May, and almost everyone's still in it, except for the Athletics, who are 24 games out. I mean, you think about it, the Yankees were 10 games out at one point. and now they're only 5 out, and
Mhm.
they haven't had their full pitching rotation yet.
Yeah,
They've
and
been throwing a lot of young
division's
names in
that
there.
whole division is
Yeah,
still above 500 too, which is awesome.
yeah.
I do love it. I do love the whole.
I mean, even the Kansas City Royals are in last place with 17 wins, and they're only 11 games out. 11 games is not
I'm
a lot.
sorry, but like you look at the Athletics, and that's where like the owners should be fined. We've talked about this before, where like there has been no attempt to even try and be better in that. And I get it. You're trying to get out of Oakland. You're trying to do everything you can do in your power to make it look like you don't want to be there.
What did we say last week or the week
11
before?
wins, bro.
11 of the 13 minor league teams have higher attendance than them.
It's just.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say that makes sense too. They can't be. Oh.
You know what's crazy? High school football in Texas
Yeah.
gets anywhere from freaking 15 to 20,000 fans.
Yeah, they probably get more than the A's.
It's insane.
You know what I was thinking about? Because like the A's had me thinking about this, but like I thought about this. It'd be cool if the XFL had an agreement, right? Now, could you imagine this? Where the worst team in the NFL, they played the championship team in the XFL. And if that XFL team won, they get into the NFL, and that NFL team has to spend a year in the XFL league. Like almost like soccer, you have those like different pools where like you win to get in. And that's what made me think like the A's, like that's just embarrassing, bro. 11 wins when you have teams that have 30 wins.
Yeah. Yeah, and the salary cap's got to be probably the lowest. And then the Rays, the Pirates, and the A's usually have low salary caps, but the Rays obviously put together a good product.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the last time I checked, over 45 XFL players have been signed by the NFL this year.
45. Ooh, wow.
Yeah. So that's crazy.
Nugget.
And this is definitely, it's a great plus for Dwayne Johnson and the XFL. This is showing that these players are good enough to not get drafted, but go into the NFL. And it's going to open up for a lot more players who don't get drafted in the NFL that can start their careers in these lower divisions. I mean, look at AJ McCarron. I mean, he sat on the bench, but behind all these players in the NFL, goes to the XFL. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the XFL. Ben DiNucci, who was a third-round player for the Cowboys, gets signed by Denver. So it's definitely a feeder team. I don't care what anyone says.
Well, and I wish relegation would happen, going back to that, because it would be nice to see like maybe the A's AAA team get moved up halfway through
Imagine
the year.
That. Like all those players get sent down, that whole AAA team gets to come up.
I don't think it'll ever go that far. But
it wouldn't.
Yeah.
They'll go
huge
down as
list.
the worst team though. They'll probably go down as the worst team in MLB history if this continues, sadly.
Last thing I have for baseball that I want to say is I know Rudy's happy about this. I just don't see why teams are still trying to pick up Gary Sanchez, a 30-year-old who batted 147 2020, batted 205, and the next year, like just averaging a 204 average. We're probably the worst defensive catchers in the league. Had so much potential with the Yankees and just never honed in on it. That's all I gotta say about that. That's all I know that will stir the pot a little bit, but
look, honestly,
R.I.P. to Gary Sanchez. No,
honestly, a team like Oakland should pick him up. You know what I mean? You have like no salary cap there. I mean, you're not paying anybody. Bring him in. My thing is I'd put him at first base or make him a DH. Get his bat going because his bat is amazing.
If you can get it going,
catching,
he's
done as a catcher.
Yeah,
that's my thing. That's my take.
Yeah, I think DHing is probably a lot more. Maybe first every now.
If he can bend down, I don't know if he can bend down and get a ball. I mean, he's used to being down on his knees, fielding balls as a catcher.
That's so down here.
This could be.
I didn't mean like that.
The roast of Gary.
Honestly, I would take him on my team as a DH. I really would. I'd get his back going, get him a little slimmer, try him out at first base in camp.
Sorry, 200 average hit. I'd rather try a young prospect.
Who would you take? Josh Donaldson or Gary Sanchez?
Josh Donaldson. He's batted
with
better
the contracts the way they
build a freaking Barbie dream house, and now he's on the DL again. Come on. Come on.
Hey, Ace, did you have some Twins stuff that you wanted to list off?
Yes, yeah. It actually, I could turn it into a quick six, oddly enough. But
Ooh, quick six.
In the most complete opposite of fashions, like just like the Twins would probably do, we're pretty much last in a lot of batting stats and first in a lot of pitching stats. So we have of roughly 1,800 at bats on the year, we have struck out 30% of our at bats, which is the most in the majors by I don't even know the margin, but a lot. We're 6th in walks at 10%. We're 23rd in hits, and we're 14th. With those numbers, 23rd and last in Ks, basically that's 23% of hits and 30%, 53%, or sorry, 23. Oh, I'm getting that mixed up. A third of the time we're not putting the ball in play, essentially, which is terrible. And somehow we have the 14th most runs, which is not so middle of the road. Switching over to the pitching, though, as Chris mentioned earlier, we're 2nd in ERA, 21st in walks, and 29th in hits given up. So that's actually a bright spot, surprisingly.
Wow, that's the spot you want to be good in.
And you're still in first place by 2 games.
Correct. Yeah, it's kind of it's like the NL Central too. Both are fighting to stay 500, both divisions.
Look, the Yankees are 20th in batting average. I mean, the Pirates are ahead of them. They're the Yankees were as low as 229. We're up to 241 batting average. So we are getting better hitting. And Giancarlo's coming back soon. So
yeah, I didn't even mention the average. Twins got a 233, but you know what? Royce Lewis is going to be our MVP on this season. He came back. He tore his ACL, I think, last year or 2 years ago. Was a top-rated prospect, and he's a fun dude to watch. And we need guys to get on base. And he's a right-handed batter, but he can put the ball in play and good contact. So
Ace, how far is the stadium from you?
Now it's like 30 minutes. When I lived in Minneapolis,
really,
I could make it there in less than 15.
Wow. That's not bad though. We had a 30-minute drive, man. Go watch the game. Yeah. The weather's probably getting nice there too.
The Saints is like less than 15 now in St. Paul, so I kind of like that.
Oh, the minor league team.
The AAA, because the atmosphere.
Yeah, we had the Iron Pigs for the Phillies about 15, 20 minutes from us. That was always a fun time.
Iron Pigs, what a great name. That's what
it was called something else, but the people they were up in arms and they wanted the name changed. They were called the Pork Chops.
They were?
Yeah.
When?
before the Iron Pigs, and people got crazy. It's a woke world we live in. You got to change names. People get offended.
Jeez.
We don't need to go down that. Oh, sorry. One weird stat. So the Twins are. Oh no, they were. I thought they were first. And the NL Central, the Brewers have a negative run differential, and the Cardinals so they're in first. Cardinals in last place have a positive run differential.
No, I know you guys are missing Luis Ariz. He's tinkering with 400 as a batting average.
Who's he with now?
Miami Marlins, who are in second place.
Miami's got everyone. You
know what it is? Miami has all women running that organization now.
Do they? Oh, good.
Yeah, women know shit. And I'm not saying I'm not trying to be a male chauvinist pig. Women know their shit, and women have no tolerance for bullshit. You mess up, you're gone. That's what you need.
That is what you need. I'm trying to go down the game in August to see the Yankees play.
Oh yes,
be cool.
Back.
Be really cool.
Before we go, we talked about this before. Big shout out to Roger Penske, who became the first race car driving owner of 2 different teams, one for Indy and one for NASCAR. He's the first one ever to win the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 in the same. Well, it wasn't the same day because they got rained out, but it was the same weekend.
Oh wow!
Joseph Newgarden won the Indy 500, which we talked about before we came on. Was the Indy 500 is the biggest sports spectacle as far as an event. That and the Daytona 500, they're the biggest spectacles for racing. They had over 300,000 fans. There are over 5 million people watching it, and this is the first time they ever threw the red flag to make sure that freaking race ends under green. And it was awesome. It was so amazing. They threw 3 red flags late in the race to stop the cars because every time they go around, the lap gets ticked off. Yep. They threw the red flag, got them set up in there, and that was the best freaking finish I've ever seen, ever. So Joseph Newgarden won for the Indy 500, and I think it was Ryan Blaney won it for the 600.
I like that.
For all you racing fans out there.
Yeah, normally I'd recognize the Indy 500 winner, but that one, no way.
Dude, that's amazing. Dude, and Kyle Larson was there. Kyle Larson's huge in NASCAR. He was there watching the race because next year he's doing the double. He's going to do Indy 500 and the 600 in the same day.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Has that ever been done? Is that like a rare?
Yep. Tony Stewart's done it. It's done. I think it's been done a few times.
Okay.
Yep.
Get Jeff Gordon back out there to do it once more.
Jeff Gordon.
Jeff
Gordon. He's a big CEO guy with Hendrick Motorsports now. He's never racing again. He's the team president, and he's involved with Hendricks. But yeah, that's all I got.
Oh, it's Penske out of okay.
You want to do your quick six, Ace? Do you have any quick six?
Well, that was the twin stuff. A little. I rattled that in.
Well, if you guys can listen to us on any platform that you listen to a podcast. If you want to see our beautiful faces, though, you can check out YouTube because that's where we love to shine the most. No. Especially Ace's beautiful red skin.
Yeah, shine. Thanks.
We hope you guys have enjoyed this podcast. Enjoy your week, and don't be afraid to share this podcast and share the love. We will see you guys next time.